Hi, I'm Leo Leung, a Senior Director of Product Management and Strategy for Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, and I'm here with Chris. Chris, could you please introduce yourself and tell me a little bit more about what you do?
Sure. I'm Chris Bergey. I'm the Senior Vice President and General Manager of the infrastructure business at ARM, where we're focused on redefining the cloud native data center and defining the future of edge computing.
That's great. Speaking about ARM, can you talk a little bit more about ARM, what the company is about, and the kind of customers you serve?
Sure. So ARM has been on a 30-year journey of being the leading provider of semiconductor IP. At this point in time, we believe ARM technology has been deployed in over 180 billion chips. In fact, last year that resulted in over 800 processors per second basically were shipped using ARM technology. And our market footprint varies from smartphones to automotive, and now, as we're talking about today, into cloud and edge computing as well as networking.
180 billion. I was doing the math in my head, and that's multiple times how many people are out there. It's kind of amazing.
It really has been an amazing journey, and as I mentioned, it's occurred over a long period of time, 30 years. It took us about 26 years to ship our first 100 billion, but we believe actually we're going to achieve the second 100 billion in just 4 years. So you can kind of look at the acceleration of deployment of ARM technology, and it's been an amazing journey.
Wow. It's really great to be working with you. Today, we announced the availability of our ARM A1 platform for our enterprise customers, for developers. I mean, can you talk about, from your perspective, what that means for ARM and cloud customers?
Yeah, so we are super excited about the partnership that Oracle has with both Ampere, who's creating the server processors utilizing ARM Neoverse technology. We're really excited about getting further penetration into Oracle's traditional enterprise customer set, as well as obviously some of the innovative new areas that OCI is pushing out into in looking at scale out workloads and many of the newer cloud native type solutions.
That's great. I think we have a mutual interest in working with existing enterprise customers as well as customers building new things. And that leads to my next question, which is, why should customers really think about this technology? Why should they consider ARM instances?
Well, I think that what we've done is a couple innovation on a couple different vectors. I think that ARM has been quite innovative from what solution providers such as Ampere and yourselves are able to offer from a price performance point of view. And obviously that's key when you think about this kind of computing, as well as our solution's been very focused on scale out workloads and the ability for yourselves to put together clusters of cores that are dedicated. So they're not shared between different workloads, but they're dedicated to that workload, and the ability to scale that up all the way to 80 cores, which is what is in actually one of these Ampere processors. So I think that really the scalability, price performance, and then the ease of portability. I think that as we mentioned in this 180 devices, that means there's a lot of software out there on the edge, in your home, in your hand, running on ARM, and there's a lot of interest in bringing those workloads to the cloud, and so that's one opportunity. The second opportunity is traditional workloads that were maybe more traditionally used a traditional processor for data center. The portability to those to ARM has been made quite simple from utilizing cloud native technologies and things like CI/CD. And really, what we're seeing is that migration to ARM from other architectures has been quite seamless, and the benefit has been quite impactful for some of the companies that have been able to make that happen.
Yeah, that actually gets into the use cases a little bit. Let's talk about those. So, um, 80 cores and 160 cores, if you look at a bare metal instance, is a ton of processing power. Can you talk a little bit more about specific examples of applications that could use that kind of capability?
So, Leo, we're seeing Neoverse adoption from everything to, ARM powers the world's largest and most powerful supercomputer, to data center instances like we're talking about today, to edge use cases. But I think that the areas that I focus on right now, or I think are a great fit, are web apps, people who are looking at SaaS and providing that. In-memory databases is another strong workload for ARM, as well as some of the HPC workloads, as I mentioned earlier. So we're seeing a diverse set of opportunities.
Yeah, so I can imagine things like transcoding or some aspects of machine learning. What are some other things that behave in a more of a scale out kind of way?
Yeah, you're right. So absolutely transcoding, EDA, things like Redis, things like Memcached, as well as even business apps such as, Java apps, as well as things like .NET.
In looking at ARM, I think security is actually an important story as well. Can you talk about how ARM thinks about security?
Yeah, so I think in today's world, of course, security is top of mind for yourselves, for us, for our customers, your customers. So the thing about security for us has been the fact that we provide dedicated cores that are not, providing multi-threading. That really gives you a lot in that way. Not only do you get consistent performance throughout the lifetime of the product because you're not dependent upon other workloads that may be running, but you have the much reduced capability of having a side channel attack or other types of complications that can happen. So it ends up being not just consistent performance, but really a great security platform.
Yeah, that's great to have security at that level as well. So I'm excited about that part. Um, Earlier, you talked about the partnership, and this is three partners working together: yourselves, Ampere, and Oracle. Uh, can you talk about that ecosystem experience?
Sure. So, I think it really is a powerful combination of the three companies. So, as I mentioned before, ARM is bringing the processor blueprint, and not just that blueprint, but the ecosystem of software and tools and everything that's been built for this, large number of processors that we mentioned at the beginning. And then really Ampere is bringing a lot of system level expertise to be able to put that together and to deliver that in a highly performant way to yourselves. And then obviously Oracle's leveraging that in your framework and being able to provide that as a really compelling offering.
So, on that note around ecosystem and software development, what would you say to developers that are interested in getting started with the ARM A1 processors?
Yeah, so I think Oracle is really bringing several key building blocks. Everything from Oracle Linux to CentOS, and MySQL. So there's a lot of really interesting, kind of ecosystem building blocks that will be available to developers.
So, Chris, is there any last things you'd like to share with the audience?
Well, Leo, we're just really excited about the partnership, and I am really excited about some of the things you guys are doing in developer enablement and actually providing free instances. Obviously, that's really exciting to startups, to universities. You're probably aware that there's a large maker community based on Raspberry Pi, and that's based on ARM processors. So even that community, I think, might want to play and tinker with some of your free instances. And we're actually seeing the move to ARM and actually doing so through free instances has been quite transformational for some of the new web startups where on a weekend, a DevOps team without permission goes ahead and fires up some ARM instances and does moves their CI/CD pipeline over to running on an ARM target, and bam, they're seeing the performance. They're transforming their business, giving them more runway because of the cost savings, the performance that they're seeing. So I'm looking forward to having the same conversation a year or two from now, and I expect that we're going to be blown away by some of the innovation that that developer ecosystem was able to enable through what Oracle is offering. And we'll probably look back on this experience as we couldn't comprehend actually what teams were going to go work on. So excited to have that conversation.
Me too, Chris. I'm really looking forward to seeing what people build, and I'm really excited about the partnership. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Leo.